And I'm back for a second live today. All right, we're going to be talking about what's going on inside the Boost Your Biz Bootcamp. If you're not in the chat, get in the chat now because we're going to be starting phase 2, which is strategy on Friday, August 11th. Let me tell you really quickly why I'm loving this chat, because everyone is so respectful of each other. I know when you like do an event like this and you have like, especially like a Facebook event where it prompts to have a group chat, and then you're in that chat and then you're like, oh my gosh, so much activity, and it can be overwhelming or maybe a distraction. What I love about this chat is that everyone is respectful of everyone else's time. It's just kind of like you go in and you learn, you observe. And most people are private DMing me questions or ahas because they don't want to disturb everyone else. So if one of the hesitations you've been having about joining the Boost Your Biz Bootcamp chat is because you're like, I just don't have, I don't want to be distracted. I have so much going on. I have so many notifications. Don't worry, don't stress, because that's not the case with this chat. I mean, people just do a quick little thumbs up. I always tell them just like the post so that way I know that you're seeing it and all the good stuff. And then again, people have been so kindly just reaching out to me directly. It's like, hey, what about this? And so what I wanted to come into the Facebook group and share is some of the questions that people are having. I planned this boot camp purposely so that people are able to work the first 7 days and get some content and work at their own pace. Literally everything you can read in a couple of minutes, and then you can take time to answer some of the journal prompts or do some of the exercises that I'm dripping out every single day. And then I put in some time for integration. I put some time in for people to reflect on what they're learning, to be able to ask questions on the second day of the break. And then the third day, again, going back to implement. So if I was able to clarify some of the things that we talked about during the Q&A, like what I'm doing right now, they're able to take this back for tomorrow and then implement. And then we start again on the 11th. So it's going to be the same thing for every single phase. So phase 2 is going to be strategy. And what we're coming out of right now is phase 1, which is all about mindset, about blocks, about anything that's prohibiting us from really getting the results that we want, things that we know that are in our control, but maybe we didn't realize that they're in our control. And so some of the questions that came up, which are really great questions, I dropped a Google form link into the chat for anyone to ask their questions that I can come and do a live. I did not request anyone's name, so I apologize for that. The form did not have a place for you to put your name. So if I'm answering your question, you know it's for you. I can't shout you out or call you out because I don't have the names. So let's get started. And as I'm going through these things right now, some of the questions, if something comes up for you and like, oh my gosh, I have a question about that, go ahead and put it into the chat and I will be able to read it here on StreamYard. Make sure if you have not given StreamYard permission to show me your name, that you just kind of put right after your question who you are so I can be able to say hello to you. So the first question was, I don't get why you started with mindset. I'm happy and positive, so don't need mindset. This question right here, I was like, I love this question. Because when we think about mindset, people think, and people preach this, just be positive and focus on this, which I know that is very important to focus on what you do want. But when she asked, or when she said, I'm happy and positive, so I don't need mindset, let me just kind of give you I guess you want to say the clinical term of mindset. Mindset is not about just being positive and being happy. Mindset is the way your brain collects information. So it's the way it organizes the information that you see. So when I started with mindset and I talked about the way the subconscious mind works, the prime directives of the subconscious mind, how it stores memories, I went through a whole list of, I didn't go through all 20, but I went through a whole list of what I thought really does pertain to business as business owners, some of the things that we could be able to use, things like how the subconscious mind needs direction, it needs clear instruction so that it knows where to go to. So that is why we started with the mindset, because mindset is not just about being happy and focusing on the positive and then feeling shitty if you're not positive. Sometimes people like get down on themselves if they're not feeling happy or positive. So I want you to understand when it comes to mindset, it's literally about how you are perceiving things and how you're organizing that information so that it goes into your subconscious brain. And then you get to react with your awareness, with your conscious awareness. So that is a really great question. And then again, I went through some of the ways that the subconscious mind helps us and the way our focus helps us, so that when we come to a strategy that I'm going to be presenting in phase 2, you understand why you may perceive it the way that you do. And then you can also understand, because when we're going through strategy, it's not just for you, but it's showing you how your audience may interpret things, or from the perspective of your audience. So mindset is going to be a huge part. It's like the foundation before we lead to the next. So that is why we started with that. Now, next question is, I love the mindset piece, but how does this help me speed up my process? And I'm thinking what she means is speed up the process of success. And so that is a great question as well. The way the brain works in understanding some of these things is that when we're overthinking, we can get so logical, right? We can get so logical, and we're thinking that we're making the best decision. We're like, oh, well, this makes sense. This is logically speaking, this would be the best thing for me to do. But what we don't realize is that although we're thinking logic, it's usually covering up some kind of deep emotion that's there. So that's really what's directing our focus or our decisions. It's kind of like what they say, like it's like a saying about behind every good man is a woman, like basically like turning his head or something like that. I'm not very good at like those those sayings, but your emotions, like say your emotions are in your body, right? And so your head is going to focus, that's your logical area. It's going to focus really where it's feeling something, right? So when you're over analyzing something, think about it. The reason you're over analyzing and you're trying to make sense out of logic is because you're feeling some kind of fear, maybe some worry. Or going back to the way our subconscious mind works, it stores memories. Maybe we have a memory of a time that this didn't work out. I bring in those parts because I want you to realize that we make decisions based off of data points that are right now, or maybe in the past, and not necessarily what it's going to look like for us in the future. So when we understand those things and we can get out of our head and we can allow the connection of like feeling and our thoughts to come together to work together, then it speeds up the process. We have more clarity, we have more creativity. And what we do is we reduce the stress on our brain. When we stress out our brains, we don't realize it, but then all logic goes out, all reasoning. Whenever, and I even put this in the post of when I talked about the time I got hijacked when I was a teenager, is that when our emotions are high, like there's no logic, right? Well, when we're stressed out, really what that is kind of like our feelings, our fear that is making all logic all fuzzy, right? We're causing stress on the brain. So when we can understand these things, we can calm ourselves. We can question that inner dialogue that may be negative, or there's might be some uncertainty, second guessing. Then we can choose what we want to see instead, or what we want to happen instead. So we get to make more clear decisions. And when we're doing this work and we're, understanding how our brain works, and we're understanding our own energy and our own thoughts and what's ours and what someone else's, we can set better boundaries. We can prioritize better. Because if you're watching, please say hello in the comments. I see some people are watching. Tell me this. Have you ever said yes to something that was really a no, and then you're like so frustrated, you don't know why you did it, and there's some resentment, and then all the things are happening, you get flustered, you're probably rushing through things because you said yes to something when you really should have said no? Well, being very clear on the things that we're going through inside the Boost Your Biz Bootcamp chat. I want you to be able to join so you can see those things. I'm not going to refer to them specifically because there's a lot of things that we went through over the past 7 days. But whenever you can set those boundaries for yourself and you're clear of where you want to go and you're clear about yourself and what you want for your life, then those things that are invitations or people are requesting of you, then they're a hard no. You're like, and you're okay with that. It's not like you're being mean. You're like, I appreciate this offer, but that is not aligned for me right now, right? So that is how it helps you speed up, because you're understanding where you want to go. You're allowing your brain to be able to rest, to have that clarity, and you're just able to really tap into your power, because you are remembering a lot of the resources that you've probably forgotten because you're overloading yourself with too much information or too much on your plate. So that really does speed up the process. It's helped me. Some of the things that I would like to do, I know you didn't ask this, but I'm going to go through this part. Some of the things that I like to do to manage my state, and when I say manage my state, like really manage my mindset, my focus, and the information I'm allowing to come in. Because remember, we're organizing all the time. There's about 2 million bits of information going on. And so our brain has to work efficiently and decide what's important and what is not. But sometimes just like you get overloaded, when you have to reboot your computer, that can happen to us, but you don't want to force yourself to do that. And so some of the things that I do to just relax myself and manage my own state is I love tapping. This morning, I had a beautiful tap session. I tap in the shower, sometimes at the best time and the best place for me to be able to tap. So I was tapping in the shower, and immediately, like, just going through even though in, the first 3 parts of it, before I even started going to the different parts of my face of different meridian points, I instantly was like already feeling a relief. And the things that I was like worried about that I was letting bother me, I was like, wait a minute. No, that's silly. It's like, this is what's actually true. So I love to tap. I love to meditate. And this weekend I was at a retreat. It was such a wonderful retreat. And it's like sometimes when you get so busy, you kind of forget that, again, the resources ability, right? And one of the things she suggested that I had heard a long time ago, but I don't always do it. I love the tapping. I love the full depth of meditation. But if you feel like you're like, Vanessa, I don't have time to meditate, she said, just simply like, when you see a certain number, like, like right now it's like 12:15 here. Like if I see 12:15 later on the clock or, somewhere, I can like, ooh, that could be a signal. So whether it's 222, your favorite numbers, that could be a signal to be like, pause. Let me just focus on the air coming into my nose and then breathing out. Just that little pause can do wonders. And then you can build from there and keep on building. So another thing that I like to do is sometimes just going out for a walk or just going out in the grass. It doesn't even have to be a very long time. We have a big yard. And so sometimes if I just need a break from being behind the screen and working in my business, going downstairs and just walking across the yard, just kind of make a little circle, is such a great reset for me. I get grounded. Sometimes it's just like warm sun. It just kind of reminds me of all the reasons to be grateful, and it just resets me, and then I get to go back. There are so many other activities that you could do that just kind of break that hustle and break that just that grind mode that we can get into to really just kind of like refocus and feel good and remind us of all the things that are available to us, not only like resources. So when I say resources, I mean not only the support we can get from other people or some of the things that, the tools that we have to make business easier, or maybe software and systems that we have available to purchase, to invest in, we can see all those things when we calm down. I think of it like when we're speeding down the freeway, trying to hurry up and rush to get somewhere because we committed to something that we want to do, right? And because we're rushing, we miss our exit. And it ends up taking us more time because we got to exit, the next exit, turn back around, and then go back, then wait at that light, right? So we can go under the bridge or whatever, and then come back. So it ends up taking more time than we want to when we go way too fast. So that is how just practicing, just organizing a way or having a way for you to be able to, have a mindset practice so that your body's able to slow down and organize information that's coming to you, because there's a lot of information coming to you. So the next question is, I feel like every time that I gain momentum during this boot camp with answering the journal prompts, which by the way are phenomenal, thank you very much. and have given me so much clarity. Great, because that's so important for me. That's the whole part of like doing this thing, is getting that clarity. Something happens to distract me. Is this what you referred to in a private DM? Okay, so let me kind of give some little insights here. So on, I think it was like day 3, I told people that they have a choice, that we were going to play like a little, what is that book called? Choose Your Adventure book. And so everyone in the chat had a choice to DM me 1 or 2. They were going to vote 1 or 2. 1 or 2, one was being to understand the way the brain works or helps you when it comes to setting a goal and reaching your goal. And then the other way was about how your body contributes to helping you with your goals. And so people DM me, this is what I want. And so I'm guessing this particular person was DMing me about, because I'm not, again, I don't know the names on here, about, is this what you're DMing me? She's like, it giving me so much clarity. Something happens to distract me. So I'm thinking this has to do with the brain, or the focus. And so what this sounds like is that whenever we're gaining momentum in something and we have a belief system that is tied to either a sense of unworthiness or disbelief that we can have something or some kind of a lack, we end up self-sabotaging. So this person may be experiencing really feel-good growth and momentum, and she's getting clarity. So most likely something's happening. Like if she's identifying that this is something clear, she's getting the results that are reinforcing that. That's making her feel good. And so what ends up happening is that it's kind of like what they always say, like that upper limit, right? Something distracts you and it's like, wait a minute, is this where we really want to go? And that's going back to what's in our subconscious and what's in our neurology. And what I have found is that if you could just kind of push through and then go back to that clarity and go back to those boundaries, instead of reacting with or overreacting with emotions, you get to take a little pause, and then you get to ask yourself, is this something that's important right now? Do I need to drop everything right now to address this? Or what resources do I have available to me to be able to help me with this? So I'm not quite sure of like what distractions this person means, but like, for instance, let's say that every time you're making momentum in your business, you get sick, or one of your kids gets sick. This is a great time to be like, okay, this has happened in the past. Let me analyze what happened leading up to this. And then if this happens again, what can I do instead? Or who can be there to help me, because I don't want to lose momentum? Or how can I make sure that I'm able to be there for that person and also for myself without completely draining myself or derailing my process? I know that sometimes when we are so used to having these habits, it's hard to like see that there's other options available to us until we slow down. So that's a really great question. But yes, what I was referring to in a DM when it comes to the way your brain works is that whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of. Right? So if you are and here's the thing, sometimes we're like, what, I'm focusing on, I'm focusing on meeting this goal. But then part of you, probably in the belief system or in your body, it is more out of fear. So you're more trying to run away from something. So really getting crystal clear on and writing out exactly where you want to go, and then feeling in your body like that excitement. So when you're setting that goal, you have to be on board psychologically and physiologically. So, as you are making that progress and you're focusing on those things, check in. Am I thinking that I'm focused? And so I don't know why I keep having these things happen. And then check in, be like, okay, well, it's just really I'm happy right here, but inside kind of have that pit in my stomach, or my sacral's contracting. Then most likely it's you need to revisit when you're setting that goal, and then just kind of coaching yourself and self-soothing and reminding yourself that, wait a minute, yes, in the past this has happened, but it doesn't mean that it's always going to happen in the future. So I hope that answered your question. And then this one is, I don't know how to explain the transformation yet that my offer or what I offer. I'm still trying to figure out what to sell. So that's perfectly fine. And I did put a journal prompt in there asking them, what is a transformation that your offer, so your product or your service offers? And the reason why I did put that in there is because what I have found is that sometimes people shy away. They kind of find out like, well, I don't they don't want to like completely shine. Like I don't know exactly what it is. I just know this. You know, sometimes we just know this, but we really don't get into the essence of how it's feeling. And so I wanted people to be able to start thinking about this and really feeling into their body of like, okay, what is it that is holding me back from fully expressing my and shining with my expertise and what it is that I can offer my people. And so if you don't have anything yet right now that you're selling, it's still a great idea to be thinking about what you could possibly offer someone. What kind of transformation could you possibly offer someone when it aligns to something that lights you up, that's something that makes you excited. Now if you're a manifesting generator, then a lot of things make you excited, and you might find that you're doing something and then all of a sudden like, oh, but I want to do this next and all the things, right? So yes, that can be a little bit confusing, but if you are really wanting to think about like, what am I going to sell that I'm going to be happy selling, that it's going to be able to, I'm going to be able to have longevity in this, think about the three things that people want. People always want money, right? So more money, more abundance, some way, right? And that can even equate to some more time. People always want to have good health, right? They want to be, physically healthy. They want to feel youthful, all the things. So it's health, wealth. And the last thing is relationships. So people want to have healthy relationships. They want to have thriving relationships. So whether it's with their children or with their family members or with a romantic partnership, right? So even if you're going to sell a product and one of those things, there's something that your product is going to be able to help them when it relates to some of those things. And so it's just kind of like exploring that and putting yourself into the shoes of like, okay, if this is, I have an idea, this is what I want to sell, but I'm not quite sure. Let me think about what it does for me. And is it going to light me up? Is it good for me? Is it good for them? Is it good for the world if I sell this? And then the way I position myself, like how is that going to be ecological as well? So just start thinking about those things, because, and I bet you anything, what's going to end up happening, all the other things that you're thinking about selling are going to deselect, and you're going to focus on like, oh, wait, this is a transformation I want to be able to offer other people because I have experience with this, because I have knowledge with this. So phase 2 is going on again, starting on the 11th. So in 2 days on Friday, it's going to be in the same chat. We're going to be moving to strategy. This is where we're really going to be putting the, what do they say? The foot to the pedal to the metal. That's what it is. The pedal to the metal. And we're going to be getting really clear on your marketing message. So I'm going to give you a lot of the little tricks and tips that I do, because everyone's like, you're always all over the place. I'm like, oh, thank you, but I'm really not. I'm going to show you the lazy way that I create content, and then how I repurpose it, and how I can just basically have a lot of content wherever I need to be. And then most importantly, using the content, using my words to speak to my ideal client so that I have a connection to them through, through the screen. So I hope you join for phase 2. And if you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and I'll come back and review any of the questions. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.